and welcome to CXO Dialogues, an interactive platform that fosters communications between carrier CXOs and leading industry analysts and consultants. Joining me today are Amit Maharaj, MTN Group Executive, Network Design and Planning, and Zhang Jun, Chief Consultant of Huawei Carrier Network and ex-CTO of Shanghai Telecom. Looking back at 2020, this was a year that had several ups and downs. People were impacted personally and professionally, with everyone's lifestyle changing at a pace not seen in recent memory. So Amit, let me start with you. Can you please share MTN's thinking behind its strategic transformation goals?
Yeah, thank you, Rohit, and good afternoon to everyone. MTN over the years has invested a tremendous amount of money in infrastructure. We've managed to become the leading NPS contributor in most of our markets. So we currently the number one network in 14 out of the 20 markets. We're also seeing the huge, growth in data traffic across the markets, and I think the COVID year last year was testament to that and the huge, potential for data.
Thanks, Amit. Very interesting indeed. So turning over to Zhang Jun, are there any strategic upgrades from Chinese carriers that are happening? And if you could share some of your perspectives on some of these developments.
Chinese operators have very clear strategic plans. The past decade is about the fiber-based network transformation. The future decade is about the cloud-based service transformation. They have different business strategies in different stages, which are fully implemented step by step according to plan.
Amit, as the largest mobile carrier in Africa, let me ask you, MTN faces has such a huge network across the continent that covers many subnets, including Africa and the Middle East. So what are some of the challenges that you are seeing in terms of planning, and then how do you plan to solve some of those challenges?
Yeah, thanks, Rohit. Very good question. So part of the challenge that we have in terms of our operations across Africa and Middle East is that we have varying degrees of maturity in each OpCo. So OpCos are not evolving at the same rate, unlike a large, operator in the US or in China, where you could kind of direct everything at a centralized level in a very consistent way. So our challenge is the diverging requirements and needs between customers, but also network and also levels of maturity. So, in order to run things more efficiently, part of our plans into the future as we evolve towards the cloud would be to centralize some of the capabilities in order to offer uniform experience and services across the group.
Thanks, Amit. Some great perspectives you have. Turning to Zhang Jun, I know that you have been working in the carrier field for 30 years and have a lot of good experience in network planning yourself. Could you please talk about some of the critical points in future network planning from your side?
As the Chinese saying goes, even perfect tactics cannot make up for a lack of strategy. Today's tactics are about implementing yesterday's strategy. 20 years ago, I planned the sites and optical networks of China Telecom Shanghai, including the functions and positioning of every site and the topology of the optical network. I established relationships between sites at each level and region. I also divided the full service area into different grids. This infrastructure is very stable. It remains unchanged for 20 years. Looking back, it may be hard to quantify how much value the architecture has created for China Telecom Shanghai. But China Telecom Shanghai is one of the few global carriers to have grown so quickly in the past 10 years. I think this is the best example that cost savings depend on a well-designed network architecture. This is also my responsibility and mission as the CTO.
Yes, thank you. The infrastructure that has remained unchanged for 20 years, as you said, is indeed a very robust network architecture. Amit, can you please share MTN's vision of optical networks?
Thanks, Rohit. And I must say to Mr. Zhang, I really appreciated his examples and kind of experience. It's quite enlightening and really encouraging what has been achieved. In terms of our fiber railroad, so like I said previously, as MTN have invested in over 20 operations across Africa and Middle East, we kind of done it in a very disparate way in the past, where we invested as per the OpCo's needs. We now sit with over time, we sit with an opportunity where the infrastructure has been, if one has to quantify, quite considerable investments done individually in each of the operations.
Let me turn to you, Zhang Jun, to get your perspective on optical fibers. Can you give us a brief overview on what Chinese carriers are doing, similar to what Amit explained, right? What they are doing in terms of optical network construction?
Thank you for your question. First, I fully agree with MTN's optical fiber strategy shared by Amit. The biggest takeaway from Chinese operators' development in the past decade is that without fiber, the network will not be strong, be it mobile or fixed access. Without fixed mobile convergence, services will not grow stably. You need to use the mobile business to drive fixed business growth and consolidate your strength in the mobile market with a fixed network. And without 2B, your profits will not grow quickly.
Amit, you mentioned, the business strategy of Own the Home and the goal of 10 million home users in development by 2025. What are some of the biggest challenges for mobile carriers on the network side? Briefly, if you can share with us.
5G provides the first layer of connectivity that we think will allow us to connect the home. It's a real, true technology that would allow us to kind of at least enter proper broadband. LTE was just not there at that level. Once we see big uptake and can kind of gauge the hotspot areas, it makes it very much easy then to deploy fiber in those areas and migrate customers off.
What do you think, Amit, about the cloudification reform strategy of some of these Chinese carriers? Does MTN have similar ideas, if you can share some detail?
Absolutely, and fully aligned with the strategy that's been discussed so far. For sure, if we even look at our investment profile at MTN, connectivity is still our core business. So, of course, that's the number one asset to invest in and maintain. That said, the cloudification of network functions, including the RAN at some point, is definitely a hot topic, and we are doing a lot of work in that space.
Thanks, Amit and Zhang Jun. My pleasure to have been a part of this along with you both. I look forward to more conversations on these topics and others in the future. That concludes our CXO Dialogue session for today, and hope to see you soon at another time. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Pleasure to have been with you. And nice meeting you both. And look forward to staying connected. Take care.